And away we go, episode 1206 of the Al Galdi podcast. It is Tuesday, November 25th, 2025. It is a day on which we have not one but two birthdays of all-time greats in sports named Joe. This is the birthday of legendary former New York Yankees outfielder Joe DiMaggio, who would be 111. He died in March 1999. And this is the birthday of legendary former Washington Redskins head coach Joe Gibbs, who turns 85. Happy birthday, Joe Gibbs. The greatest head coach in the history of Washington, D.C. area sports, maybe the single most important person in the history of Washington, D.C. area sports, and the man with, unquestionably, the greatest laugh in the history of Washington, D.C. area sports. Yes, there it is, the classic Joe Gibbs laugh. Happy birthday, Joe Gibbs. Hello and welcome to this Tuesday installment of the Al Galdi podcast. This also is my brother's birthday, Andy Galdi. He turns 40. Yes, there is more than one of us, but happy birthday to him. And this also is the day after we got encouraging news on the Washington Commanders QB1, Jayden Daniels, who has missed each of the team's last two games due to a dislocated left elbow. He is returning to practice, so though he has not been cleared for contact and thus is unlikely to play in the team's game against the Denver Broncos at Northwest Stadium on Sunday Night Football this Sunday night at 8:20. The Commanders on Monday practiced in their return from their Week 12 bye in the NFL's 2025 regular season, in which the team is 3-8 and in the midst of a 6-game losing streak. Next segment, discussion of comments from head coach Dan Quinn during his post-practice press conference on Monday afternoon, including good news, not just on Jayden Daniels, but also on three other injured Commanders players and receivers Terry McLaurin and Noah Brown and safety Will Harris. So the following segment, conversation about the state of the team season and how important it is that the team play well over its final 6 games in this regular season. And also on the show, I'll talk Washington Capitals and Maryland basketball. The Caps, they on Monday night ripped the Columbus Blue Jackets 5-1 at Capital One Arena. The Terrapins, they late night on Monday night / early Tuesday morning beat UNLV 74-67 at MGM Grand Garden Arena in Las Vegas in the 2025 Players Era Men's Championship as the Terps got back 2 key players from injury, 6'9" Texas A&M transfer Pharrell Payne and 6'3" Indiana transfer Miles Rice. Before we get to some feedback, bad news for our rebuilding and tanking Washington Wizards. Head coach Brian Keefe, in a session with reporters on Monday, said that Trey Johnson is expected to miss, quote, a couple of weeks, end quote. This due to a left hip flexor strain. He did not play in the Wizards' last game, a 121-120 loss at the Chicago Bulls this past Saturday night. Our Wizards have lost 14 consecutive games. Are home to the Atlanta Hawks Tuesday night at 7. You can hit me up on X at Al Galdi. You can email me the Al Galdi podcast at yahoo.com. Feedback on the Commanders, email from Brendan Langdon in Sykesville, Maryland. Subject, fans need to take a breath. Writes Brendan, hi Al. I can't believe what I'm seeing / hearing from fans and some local media members. 2 prominent media personalities in the local media, J.P. Finley and Mitch Tischler, were fanning the flames, calling for DQ to be officially put on the hot seat and potentially fired if he didn't turn this season around. They stated that nearly all of the goodwill that DQ built up last season is virtually gone. Absolutely bonkers. Fans and a handful of local media members who share the same opinion need to step back and look around. Has the season gone the way we would have wanted? Absolutely not. But talk about throwing the baby out with the bathwater. Firing DQ for this injury-plagued season. Teams that make knee-jerk reactions like this are bottom feeders. It's not just injuries. It's all of the factors going into this season. We have a minimally talented, aged roster coming off a season where the team exceeded expectations and maximized its performance with a few breaks. We went into a season where we would be facing a much tougher schedule against superior quarterbacks compared to last season. Depth was thin to begin with because of years of roster mismanagement, although what's the deal with Emmanuel Forbes and the Rams right now? But folks need to chill. The NFL is hard. Games come down down to a handful of plays, making the margin for error incredibly small. Bad teams have good seasons. Great teams have bad seasons. The league is built to be a league of parity. Have we experienced that parity before? Certainly not during Dan Snyder's ownership, but that was because of his aura of self-destruction, making even good seasons sour. But we're seeing the parity play out now. We are a mediocre roster, but a good team having a bad season. Barring some sort of moral/legal scandal, there's no way that DQ should be fired. Fans and some local media members need to take a breath. Bring on Operation Loseout, and let's swindle a desperate quarterback-needy team for a boatload of draft picks to lay the rest of the foundation for the organization with the best players available. Thanks for following DC Area Sports so that we don't have to. Thank you for the email, Brendan. I did not hear what Brendan wrote about regarding J.P. Finley and Mitch Tischler. J.P. and Mitch are great guys. I'd have to hear what they actually said. I would say this about Dan Quinn. Barring something unforeseen, he absolutely should be back as the Commanders' head coach next season. He last season did an outstanding job in getting the team to the NFC Championship game. He this season has been plagued by the team having horrendous injury luck. Now, I would add a few things to this. If the team does end up having a really bad record for this regular season, there is going to be pressure on Dan Quinn to win next regular season. And yes, there's pressure on every NFL head coach every regular season to win, but I'm not sure if Quinn would/should survive a second consecutive bad regular season. And that leads me to this. As much as injuries have ravaged the Commanders in this regular season, and as much as I do believe that injuries are by far the number one reason for the team's bad regular season, it is disappointing that the Commanders at no point in this regular season have risen up and overcome the injuries and pulled off an unexpected win. We see unexpected results in the NFL all of the time. Heck, Washington, with Jay Gruden as head coach and with Ron Rivera as head coach, had unexpected wins. This team in this regular season hasn't had a single unexpected win, and way too many of the losses have been blowout/non-competitive losses. Just because you shouldn't doesn't mean that you can't. There's a phrase for you. Just because you shouldn't doesn't mean that you can't. I find it really disappointing that Dan Quinn and his coaching staff have not found a way to scheme up at least one unexpected win during this time of the team dealing with all of these injuries. Email from Redskins fan writes, Redskins fan, check this out, Al. The more that the Commanders are in prime time, the more fans the team can get, because that means more fans across the country can see the game. Win or lose, someone can be a fan. I am hoping the Commanders start winning and we quit being a laughingstock of the league. This also is probably why our Hall of Fame players don't get in. Not enough fan pressure on the voters. Thanks, Al. Thank you for the email, Redskins fan. What gets an NFL team more fans via primetime games, of course, is winning those games. Washington for years has gotten pummeled in primetime games. The Commanders in primetime games in this regular season are 0-4 with a point differential of -55. That's not getting a team new fans. But yes, to Redskins fans' point, winning primetime games is a way to generate new fans, especially a win like the Commanders' win at the Cincinnati Bengals on Monday Night Football last regular season, right? 38-33 on September 23rd, 2024. That is a fan-generating win, to say nothing of the Commanders' 2 wins this past postseason, right? 2 games that were primetime games and fan-generating wins. So the 23-20 walk-off win at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this past January 12th in the wild card round, and the 45-31 win at the Detroit Lions this past January 18th in the divisional round. But this season, of course, is a much different story. And that is why I have no interest in this game against the Broncos this Sunday being on Sunday Night Football. I have zero appetite for us as fans having to stay up late to watch our team get smacked around in primetime once again. Now, we'll see what happens. And remember, a loss does do some good as we are in the midst of Operation Loseout 2.0. Unfortunately, there are money scams all over the place these days. I get money scam text messages and emails constantly. I'm sure that you do too. This is why I'm a big fan of Cash App. Cash App gives you peace of mind that your financial transactions are safe. Cash App's 24/7 fraud monitoring helps detect and alert you for unusual card activity should someone gain access to your card, so you can act fast if something seems off. You also can lock or unlock your Cash App card instantly right in the app for extra control and peace of mind. And if you're about to send money to someone for a deal that's too good to be true, and Cash App flags the deal as a potential scam, Cash App will warn you before you send the money. Cash App is here for you. You this holiday season can stay one step ahead of scams and keep your money secure with Cash App. And for a limited time only, new Cash App customers can use Cash App's exclusive code to earn some additional cash for real. Just download Cash App, use the exclusive referral code SECURE10 in your profile, send $5 to a friend within 14 days, and you'll get $10 dropped right into your account. Terms apply. That's money. That's Cash App. Cash App is a financial services platform, not a bank. Banking services provided by Cash App's bank partner or partners. Prepaid debit cards issued by Sutton Bank, member FDIC. Promotions provided by Cash App, a Block Inc. brand. Visit cash.app/legal/podcast for full disclosures. Hey, please consider subscribing to the podcast if you're not already doing that. Subscribing to the podcast costs nothing. Make sure that you never miss an episode and helps out the podcast a lot. And if you're already subscribing, thank you. Operation Loseout 2.0 for the Washington Commanders is underway on this podcast. The feedback has been immense. Heck, we have a theme song for Operation Loseout 2.0. Here is that theme song.
Operation Loseout. Yeah, we're running it back. Did it once for JD5, now we're back on track. Every Sunday feels like deja vu. Dropping L's on purpose, what else we gonna do? Take the snap, take the fall, let the future make the call. Stack the picks, trust the route, it's version 2.0. Time to lose out.
Yes, there you go. The outstanding theme song for Operation Loseout 2.0, composed by a great listener of this podcast, Andy. But the play of quarterback Jayden Daniels, if he plays again this season, does supersede Operation Loseout 2.0. In other words, if Daniels is playing, I want him to play well. That is what matters most. And if him playing well means that the team wins some games down the stretch, okay, fine. Nothing matters more for our team than it having a true franchise quarterback, and it is looking like Jayden Daniels will play again this season. He has missed each of the Commanders' last two games due to a dislocated left elbow that he suffered in the team's 38-14 loss to the Seattle Seahawks at Northwest Stadium on Sunday Night Football on November 2nd. We on November 3rd learned that Daniels had not suffered a fracture. We on November 7th learned that Daniels had not suffered serious ligament damage and did not need to undergo surgery. Daniels, in that loss to the Seahawks, returned from a one-game absence caused by a right hamstring injury that he suffered in the Commanders' 44-22 loss at the Dallas Cowboys on October 19th. And Daniels missed 2 games due to a left knee injury that he suffered in the Commanders' 27-18 loss at the Green Bay Packers on Thursday Night Football on September 11th. Daniels in this regular season has played in just 6 of the Commanders' 11 games, and he has gotten injured in 3 of those 6 games. Head coach Dan Quinn, he on Monday afternoon did a post-bye week press conference off the team's Week 12 bye in the NFL's 2025 regular season, in which the team is 3-8 off 6 consecutive losses since a 3-2 start. And the presser was a post-practice presser. The Commanders on Monday did practice. We on Monday afternoon had this back and forth between Commanders insider John Keim of ESPN and Quinn.
Hey, Dan, I know you want to focus on what's right now, but with Jayden Daniels, reports out, going to be returning to practice this week. I'm just curious what you can tell about what he'll be able to do this week.
Yeah, it has been good. He will be able to return to practice. We had our first session today, but Johnny has not been cleared for contact. So, I mean, he'll probably be unlikely to play. But, man, it's good to get started and get the return to play going. So that's a big deal for us.
And how important is it for you to see him back out there playing again this year?
I think it's important as Jayden's getting going, learning to play like this position at the highest level competitively, also doing it safely. And those are reps, that you develop as well. It's a skill just like throwing and processing. And so all those things are important. But him included, it was awesome today to have everyone really back at practice, John, including 3 guys that were in their 21-day window. And too early to call a lot of the guys, for the game. But getting on the field and having the guys here, John, that was a big deal, man, to have that many. It's been a long time since I've said that out loud of everybody's here and working. That's for sure.
All right, so Jayden Daniels per Dan Quinn is returning to practice, but Daniels has not been cleared for contact and thus is unlikely to play in the Commanders game against the Denver Broncos at Northwest Stadium on Sunday Night Football this Sunday night at 8:20. It would seem that there is an at least decent chance that Daniels will play in the Commanders' following game, which is at the Minnesota Vikings on Sunday afternoon, December 7th at 1. Yes. Finally, a 1 p.m. game for the Commanders again. I am not in the camp of Jayden Daniels should be shut down for the rest of the season. I want him to play again this season, though with the following conditions. A, he's totally healthy, not like 80% healthy, but totally healthy. B, he and the team are smart about his play. In other words, a concerted effort to minimize quarterback contact and an understanding that he gets pulled from blowouts. And C, the team has at least 2 or 3 games left in the regular season. I don't think that him coming back for just 1 game would be worth doing. I'm not even sure about 2 games. But yeah, I want Jayden Daniels to play again this season. I get that this has become a lost season for the Commanders. Heck, that's why we're doing Operation Lose Out 2.0. But Daniels is in just his 2nd season as an NFL quarterback. He needs reps. He needs work. He's not a finished product. And what we heard from Dan Quinn on Monday afternoon spoke to that. We on Monday afternoon had this exchange between Commanders insider Howard Fenrich of the Associated Press and Dan Quinn.
Hi, Dan. You said Jayden's unlikely to play against Denver. Do you have in mind kind of a calendar or an expectation for when you think you'll see him on the field in a game? And was there at any point any consideration at all to saying, let's shut him down?
Yeah, the first part, Howard, I would say I didn't have a long-term space until you got more spots from the doctors, meaning how's the healing coming, where is that going to go, the extension and flexion of the elbow. So once we knew that was headed in the right direction, then that, it would kind of take care of itself. When, 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, that part, I don't know, and I still don't have all the answers on that. That's kind of how the player heals and where he's at. And then as far as that's not something we really discussed internally. The first part for us, honestly, Howard, was like, hey, how are we going to get the player better? And let's dig in on that first, not knowing the exact time frame. So that's really where the focus was, right away and right off the bat. We knew we had the bye coming, and then we'd have a chance to regroup and huddle up and, kind of push from there.
Okay, so according to Dan Quinn, there was no internal discussion about potentially shutting down Jayden Daniels for the season. I was glad to hear that. More on that. We on Monday afternoon had this exchange between Commanders insider Tashawn Reed of the Washington Post and Dan Quinn.
Hey, Dan. I know with Jayden, obviously, he's had a few injuries this season, and kind of with, the state of the team right now, some have questioned, bringing him back, if maybe the playoffs, are a long shot or not, if it's a smart move. I guess for you as a head coach, when it comes to, kind of reaffirming the culture that you're building, how important is it to the guys to, continue to give them the best shot to go out there and win, even if, the odds are sort of stacked against you in the big picture? Yeah,
that part of it, I get the questions. I get all of that. You're just going to try to do what's best, man. First best for the player, and then going into the team, and we'll certainly do that. Like, we know what we're looking to do and how we want to do it, but by no means, Tayshawn, are we careless, about that. And so it's important, not just for Jayden, but important for our entire team. These are the standards and things we want to go after. And so collectively, we do think of that. Our sport only has 17 of these, and that's different than some of the other sports where we really want to dig in, and these are your best, the very best of spaces to improve and get better. And so anytime we can do that, we should certainly try to do that. But I recognize the question, no doubt.
All right. Now, we earlier heard Dan Quinn reference 3 Commanders players practicing via a 21-day practice window. Those 3 players are 3 guys on the reserve/injured list. Safety Will Harris, the Commanders on November 12th announced having opened the 21-day practice window for Harris. Edge defender Drake Jackson, the Commanders on November 13th announced having opened the 21-day practice window for Jackson. And receiver Noah Brown, as the Commanders on Monday afternoon announced having opened the 21-day practice window for Brown. Noah Brown has missed each of the Commanders' last 9 games of having been listed as dealing with groin and knee injuries. He suffered at least the groin injury in the Commanders' 27-18 loss at the Green Bay Packers on Thursday Night Football on September 11th. The Commanders on October 15th announced having placed Brown on the reserve/injured list. And also practicing to at least some extent on Monday was receiver Terry McLaurin. He has missed each of the team's last 3 games due to a quadriceps that he re-injured in the Commanders' 28-7 loss at the Kansas City Chiefs on Monday Night Football on October 27th. McLaurin in that game returned from a 4-game absence caused by the quadriceps injury, which he suffered in the Commanders' 41-24 win over the Las Vegas Raiders at Northwest Stadium on September 21st. We on Monday afternoon had this back and forth between Commanders insider Nikki Javala of The Athletic and Dan Quinn.
Terry McLaurin, kind of what is his trajectory? Where is he at?
Yeah, it was good to see him, man. That smile lit up, and so it wasn't like a full speed hauling ass day, Nikki, but that's kind of what we're hoping the progression for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday looks like for he and some of his teammates. But he's really worked hard, and so to see us take the next step, like we'll see where it takes us. But it was awesome to have him out there today. I'm excited for him.
And for all those guys, I mean, I'm sure the injuries have been frustrated, especially for them. What have you seen from them as they've mentally dealt with it? And then what do you need to see from them to know that they're ready for the final stretch here?
Yeah, for some of the guys, when you've been out for a while, it definitely takes some resilience, Nikki, because especially when there's like a different injury or a re-injury, because that's the easy space to go down the dark spot where it's why again or those things. And so you want to check, mentally where they're at and make sure the things they now can control are this part of the rehab and healing and getting better. And so I knew they would come. But when you're in the thick of it, sometimes it can be hard to see, just on the other side, of the street. But for those guys in specific, knowing they're back doing what they love to do and back on the field, it's a big step, and it definitely adds a lift.
Yeah, the QB1, Jayden Daniels, the WR1, Terry McLaurin, the WR3, Noah Brown. Wouldn't it be nice to have all 3 of those guys playing together in this regular season for a sustained period of time? Dan Quinn on Monday afternoon expressed optimism regarding Will Harris playing this Sunday night. More on that shortly. But we on Monday afternoon had this exchange between Commanders insider J.P. Finley of NBC4 and Quinn.
Hey, Dan, so with Harris, you said you're really optimistic. What's the optimism level with McLaurin for this Sunday?
I'll have a better answer for you, JP, later, only because I've seen Will a little bit longer. But I would say this, man, I'm excited about, the possibilities because of his speed and how he's moving. And so those are big steps, JP. And so maybe I saw Will already do it, the full speed spots at practice, come back and do it again. And so that's the space that we need to see from Terry and repeat it. And so once I see that, then I'll let the optimism, grow stronger. But let's take us through those 2 steps first.
All right, so we'll see about Terry McLaurin for this Sunday night, but clearly the optimism with McLaurin's status has grown, and him being back will be big, to say nothing of Jayden Daniels being back. We on Monday afternoon had this exchange between 7 News DC sports director Scott Abraham and Dan Quinn.
You mentioned how important it is for Jayden to get some reps to play again. How about from just the evaluation standpoint of all the offensive pieces together playing with Jayden, because the reps, unfortunately, have been few and far between this season. So going into the offseason, how important is it to have Jayden and everybody on the field together just so you can get a really clean and true evaluation going in the offseason.
Yeah, you want to really push one another, Scott, to see where you can take it. You want to find the things that you want to improve upon, and that's really what you're always looking for. Can I raise it to here? Can I raise it to here? For Jayden specifically, it's like obviously playing QB at the very highest, most competitive level, and also doing it as safe as you possibly can. And so there's a skill that goes with that too, Scott. And that goes, at quarterback and then raising our level at other spots. So it's important, man, to put this mesh together. And we got a lot of things that we want to work on. And so that's why I don't want to go in 6 weeks. To me, it's 4-6 weeks. There's a big difference there in how we go about it and what that looks like. And I'm looking forward to doing that. This group's one that I'm fully expecting us to level up.
All right, with Will Harris. So he is on the reserve/injured list on which he was placed on September 22nd. This due to a fractured fibula that he suffered in that win over the Raiders on September 21st. The Commanders on November 12th announced having opened the 21-day practice window for Harris. He did not play in the team's last game, the 16-13 overtime loss to the Miami Dolphins in Madrid, Spain on November 16th. But it is looking like Harris has a good chance of playing in the team's game against the Broncos this Sunday night. We on Monday afternoon had this exchange between David Aldridge of The Athletic and Dan Quinn.
Dan, you mentioned Will. I know it's about 2 weeks into his window. I just wonder, is he able to do everything now, and how does it look for him for Sunday, and if not Sunday, the following week?
Yeah, it looks good, Dave. And the reason being, like you said, he was chomping at the bit even before we started. He worked really hard to get himself back to it. And then it was really about the movements, the conditioning, and those things. And so had the week out in Spain as well of full-on practice to go, and then more conditioning, more movements this past week. And then we're very optimistic heading into this week for him and all that he's done to get himself ready to go.
And if Will Harris does play against the Broncos, it'll be interesting to see what that means for safety Quan Morton, who, remember, in that loss to the Dolphins, got benched. Morton started, but he played on just 66% of the Commanders' defensive snaps. The Nace Law Group, accident and injury lawyers, it will fight for you and win for you. Just recently, an $8 million jury verdict in Baltimore City Circuit Court in a case in which the Nace Law Group represented the family of a 42-year-old man who died after a simple procedure. Lead attorney Chris Nace is a big Commanders fan and big supporter of this podcast, and his firm wins trials. If you have a case, contact the Nace Law Group. Call 202-902-7611 or visit Washington, D.C., injurylawyers.com and tell the Nace Law Group that Al Galdi sent you. The Nace Law Group is tremendous. It is a Washington, D.C.-based family law firm that handles medical malpractice, personal injury, birth injury, legal malpractice, and consumer protection cases, offering aggressive advocacy for victims in Washington, D.C. and West Virginia. The Nace Law Group fights for victims of all kinds of situations, including victims of errors made during diagnosis, during surgery, or with medication, victims of injuries caused by dangerous medications or medical devices, as well as defective auto parts, victims of accidents involving cars, trucks, bikes, or motorcycles, victims of deceptive trade practices and false advertising, heck, victims of shady lawyers. If your attorney acts in bad faith, is unethical in his or her counsel, or is negligent in his or her work, you could have a claim for legal malpractice. The Nace Law Group has represented corporate clients throughout the region. If you feel that you've been wronged, if you think that you've been wronged but aren't sure, contact the Nace Law Group and schedule a no-obligation appointment. Call 202-902-7611 or visit Washington, D.C., injurylawyers.com and tell the Nace Law Group that Al Galdi sent you. That's 202-902-7611 or Washington, D.C., injurylawyers.com and tell the Nace Law Group that Al Galdi sent you. The Nace Law Group, accident and injury lawyers. More now on the Washington Commanders, off them practicing on Monday and their return from their Week 12 bye in the NFL's 2025 regular season, and off head coach Dan Quinn's post-practice press conference on Monday afternoon. The Commanders at 3-8 are tied with the Arizona Cardinals for the third worst record in the NFC. The Commanders have not been officially eliminated from playoff contention, but they have been eliminated from getting to at least 10 wins, which would seem like a must to make the playoffs in this NFC. And yet our team has 6 games left in this regular season. That's the thing, man. We have a lot of the season to go. Here was Dan Quinn during the opening statement of his presser.
This is our opportunity to elevate. Show me a team with a strong standard, and I can confidently say they've been through some shit. And that's kind of where your standards get strengthened and tested and all those good things, and that's exactly where we are. And as I told the team, for all of us, man, like we can dig and get more. That's game day and really every day. That's more speed, that's more focus, and players and coaches, man, we can for sure do that. It's doing the small things at a world-class level, and where we are, nothing to me is too small. And so this is our opportunity to elevate. And individually as a team, that's our focus, where we're at and how we want to go after it. So that's kind of what I started our, returning from the bye messaging, and I wanted to share that with you as we get started. And it was cool to be back out on the practice field today and get rolling again. We all needed that space, and now it's time to go again. So that said, I'll open it up with you guys, and we can get rolling to start the week.
So the Commanders' remaining 6 games in this regular season, home to the Denver Broncos on Sunday Night Football this Sunday night at 8:20, at the Minnesota Vikings on Sunday afternoon, December 7th at 1, at the New York Giants on Sunday afternoon, December 14th at 1, home to the Philadelphia Eagles on Saturday, December 20th, time to be announced. Home to the Dallas Cowboys on Christmas at 1 p.m. Christmas is on a Thursday this year. And at the Philadelphia Eagles in Week 18, day and time to be announced. Is the Commanders season going to get even uglier? Or is this team going to be better over these 6 games? Well, getting healthier, of course, would help. We talked about that last segment. We on Monday afternoon had this exchange between Commanders insider Tom Schad of the Washington Post and Dan Quinn.
Kind of on a macro level, I'm sure you took part of the bye to kind of look back at how the first, 11 weeks of the season went. When you look back kind of at yourself, your own performance and messaging or certain decisions you made, what's something that you took away from that review? Yeah,
there's a lot. Honestly, Tom, when you go back through, because you want to make sure you're digging in on the right things and the right mindsets. And so I want to find out, where are the mistakes? And you want to answer, okay, do you know where they are? Are they fixable? Okay, and yes and no's are, answers to those. And then here's the process that you have to go through to do that, because, as you know, the difference on those winning and losing comes down to these, differences that you need to do. So I wanted to dig back in hard. I asked a lot of collaboration with the coaches as well, in their opinion. So I wasn't just going to make it my point of view. I wanted to collaborate as strongly as I could, Tom, to make sure that everybody had a voice in this, and also how we plan on, moving forward with real resolve and making sure the practices, the standards that we want are really being met. That's why I discussed it with the team too.
If the Commanders don't beat the Broncos this Sunday night, that'll mean that the Commanders will go more than 2 months between wins. The last win, the 27-10 win at the Los Angeles Chargers on October 5th. That win got the Commanders to 3-2. Yes, they were 3-2 at one point. Now they're 3-8. It is amazing what has happened to the team season. We on Monday afternoon had this exchange between Commanders insider J.P. Finley of NBC4 and Dan Quinn. And then you hear a follow-up exchange between 7 News DC sports director Scott Abraham and Quinn.
I'm curious. Obviously, the season hasn't gone the way you wanted, but with these last 6 games, how important for you is it to try to get the team? I mean, you and Adam built this team to be a playoff contender, right? How important is it for you to see that group perform at that level?
Yeah, I want to see us not working to that. I want that to be the standard as we move forward this game, the next game, and on. None of the trajectory. I'm saying, like, let's nail these standards that we're looking for. The good news that I would say, like, JP, like, this is a cool group, man. And so a lot of fight, a lot of attitude, and there's been some opportunities for some new faces and some new spots. And I don't take those lightly either. You know, when guys want to demonstrate, you know, I can step up, I can make this move, I can do the next thing, whether they were here prior or new to the club. And so I think I'm just excited, man, to get rolling with some of the guys and hopefully have a few on their way back as well. So it's a big deal for us.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Scott?
Hey, Dan, piggybacking off JP's question, that playoff standard, like, what will that look like to you, the final 6 games? So what do you want to see, you know, actually on the field that makes you believe, all right, we're going in the right direction?
Yeah, I wanted to see us eliminate some of these things that have been tripping us up, Scott. So I'm talking about turnover margins. I'm talking about, you know, eliminating the false starts, the pre-snap penalties. When I was kind of referring to earlier, like, these little things done at a world-class level. It may not show up on the stat sheet in that way, Scott, but I'll know that. You know, I'll see the speed, I'll see the intensity, I'll see the execution. Those are some of the things that I'm looking forward to seeing us do, and not except for this or except for that play, but just consistently doing that spot together. That's what, you know, I'm aiming to see, and I want to see that, you know, on the regular, not up for half, down, like literally this is how we get down, and this is what I'm looking for on the regular.
So I am not at all a believer in momentum for an NFL team carrying over from one season to the next. First of all, what exactly is momentum? Nobody can define that. Second of all, there is zero evidence that momentum for an NFL team carrying over from one season to the next is a thing. Heck, did any team in the NFL, save for the Eagles, have more momentum at the end of last season than the Commanders had? Well, what good has that momentum done them this season? But would it mean something for the Commanders to do well over their final 6 games in this regular season? I am putting Operation Lose Out 2.0 aside in answering this question. My answer is yes, if Jayden Daniels is at quarterback. If he isn't, then honestly, who cares? But if he is and he plays well, then yeah, there would be value in the Commanders doing well over their final 6 games in this regular season. The number one reason to have optimism with the Commanders moving forward is them having a superstar quarterback. Further reason to believe that the team has a superstar quarterback would be good. I recognize that, even as a proponent of Operation Lose Out 2.0. What about team identity? That's one of Dan Quinn's big things, right? Team identity. We, on Monday afternoon, had this exchange between Candy Waller of Bowie TV Sports and Quinn.
Hey, Coach. You've kind of touched on this a little bit in some of your responses to others' questions, but you know, last year we talked a lot about, and earlier this year as well, a lot about the Commander standard and what it means to be a Washington Commander. Yep. So now that you all have gone through and going through some adversity here, yes, what have you kind of really seen as very important to that kind of framework of what it means to be a Washington Commander?
Yeah, so much of it is mindset, Candy, isn't it? About when you're going through the hard things to say, all right, how's this mindset going to be? And when I was kind of referring to like the little things, it's not like you want to heighten them, and it's not a matter of letting them slip. It's a matter of like the extra attention that it goes, and really there doesn't have to be anything that's too small to go into that. The things that come to the top of my mind for me are kind of the winning time moments and the focus during there. That's a big piece of this, to make sure whether that's a 4th down, a 2-minute, an end of the game, those ones to where it goes from focus to the hyper focus. And you got to practice it, and I like the competition at practice, so having more guys back into practice, Candy, that's a big deal for me, because now that's more competition, more spaces to go do that. And so that's a big deal. But yeah, there's definitely as much gets revealed in the difficult times, and you want to watch, you want to, see how certain people are reacting and knowing, okay, there's a person that's down for it. When the chips are down and they're like absolutely going for it, you do learn a lot. It sucks to go through it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But what I'd said earlier, you show me like a strong, confident team, and there's an excellent chance they went through something challenging, something tough along the way. I think that's teams, that's people, that's a lot of things that go through it. But I want that warrior mindset, looking for the competition, at every space, and knowing that somebody's ready to get down, like every time we go.
Hey, if you are a Commanders fan, check out bgobsession.com, an outstanding site for Commanders conversation. The Sons of Washington forum on bgobsession.com is tremendous. BG Obsession, or BGO, has been going strong since 2009. No politics, just friendly and passionate discussion about the Commanders and more. Great contests, game day chats, and camaraderie. Both old school and new school fans are welcome. Visit and join BGO at bgobsession.com. bgobsession.com, home to your burgundy and gold obsession. Well, the Washington Capitals now have scored at least 5 goals in 3 of the team's last 4 games, and a good bit of the Caps' offense is coming from the team's defensemen.
Voronkov will come in to take the face-off, and that was not a clean one.
Clock move. They're going to have to fix that clock. Yeah, they did.
Right back to 4.2 here. And the Capitals do get it to Ovechkin. Karlsson scores! With 1.7 to go, they thought Ovechkin was going to shoot. It was 1 to him. He dishes to Karlsson. He buries it. The Capitals 2 goals in less than 15 seconds to close out the second. Oh, baby, it's 4-0 Washington.
John Walton on the Washington Capitals radio network on Monday night. A 5-1 win for the Caps over the Columbus Blue Jackets at Capital One Arena. The Caps in the NHL's 2025-2026 regular season improved to 12-9-2. A nice bounce-back performance by the Caps' #1 goaltender Logan Thompson. He off getting benched in the first period of the Caps' previous game, the 5-3 loss to the Tampa Bay Lightning at Capital One Arena on Saturday night. Stopped 22 of the 23 shots on goal that he faced. This was a rare good game for the Caps on special teams. 2 for 2 on the penalty kill, 1 for 3 on the power play. And yeah, Caps defensemen continued to score. 4 of the Caps' 5 goals came from defensemen. First time that Caps defensemen combined for at least 4 goals in a regular season game since December 17th, 2022. Defenseman Jakob Chychrun, he scored 2 goals, an even strength goal, 6:05 into the first period, and a power play goal, 19:45 into the second period, giving him 8 goals in this regular season. He had a team-high 7 total shot attempts, including 4 shots on goal. Did commit a third-period tripping minor. Defenseman John Karlsson scored an even strength goal, 19:57 into the second period for his 5th goal in this regular season. He had a secondary assist, and he had a game-high 5 shots on goal. And defenseman Martin Fehervary scored an even-strength goal, 4:05 into the third period for his 2nd goal in this regular season. And he had a team-high tying 3 block shots. The Caps, as of the end of this game, were #1 in the NHL in goals by defensemen in this regular season, 19. We, during Caps head coach Spencer Carberry's postgame press conference on Monday night, had this exchange between Caps insider Tarek El-Bashir of Monumental Sports Network and Carberry.
4 goals from the blue line. I think 19 leads the league in that category. Is that kind of part of your identity now? 2 years in a row, you've had a blue line that really chips in a lot offensively.
Yeah, I think we try to. I mean, it's something that we talk about. We use our D a lot in a lot of the things that we do offensively, so they touch the puck a ton. And then I think we got some really good players back there, so I think that helps as well.
Yeah, and specific to Jakob Chychrun, he is rolling right now. We, during Spencer Carberry's postgame press conference on Monday night, had this exchange.
You talked about the defenseman more generally, but 8-game point streak, 3-game goal streak for Jakob Chychrun. What's clicking for him these days?
You know, so I've talked to him a little bit. I just feel like he's, especially offensively, he's just on his front foot. So what I mean is he's just constantly, whenever we get the puck or he gets the puck or his partner gets the puck, he's ready to attack. He's just constantly, like, even maybe a prime example, the Tampa goal, that he scores, right, is sort of a weird goal. What's going on there? He in his head is just like, I got to attack the net with this puck somehow, some way. I'm going to get it inside. And I know it's a small little thing, but I just think he's being very, very aggressive. And anytime he gets an opportunity to get a puck on his stick, whether he uses his skating or he shoots it, he's attacking the net. And so I always feel like when you're doing that, good things are going to happen for you, whether it goes in off a guy's skate or whether you beat a guy and you get to good ice and now you shoot it from the middle or you're hitting a one-timer or whatever it might be. I just feel like he has a real, right now, an attack mindset offensively, whether it's off the rush or in zone. He is just, and he's playing at a real high level. Defensively, he's been pretty solid too, and that's kind of the part that I work a lot with him on because I think that's the area that he really wants to take his game to the next level so he can play 25, 30 minutes a night and be that true number one defenseman in the NHL.
The Caps this past March announced having re-signed Jakob Chychrun to an 8-year, $72 million contract extension. He so far this season is living up to that extension. Also scoring for the Caps on Monday night was second-line right wing Tom Wilson. He scored an even-strength goal 16:29 into the second period for his 12th goal in this regular season. He had a primary assist, and he was number 2 on the Caps in 5-on-5 shot attempt percentage for the game per natural stat trick at 64. The Caps with Wilson on the ice in 5-on-5 situations in the game had 16 shot attempts versus allowing 9 shot attempts. Caps top-line right wing Alex Ovechkin had a primary assist. He had 4 total shot attempts, including just 1 shot on goal. The Caps had 31 shots on goal to the Blue Jackets 23, but per natural stat trick had 46 5-on-5 shot attempts to the Blue Jackets 47. The Caps did remain without center Nick Dowd. He did not play for a 4th consecutive game due to an upper body injury. The Caps' healthy scratches were defensemen Trevor Van Riemsdyk and Dylan McElrath. Next up for the Caps, home to the Winnipeg Jets Wednesday night at 7, and the Caps on Monday morning announced that they, prior to that game, will hold a special pregame ceremony at Capital One Arena to honor Captain Alex Ovechkin for becoming the first player in NHL history to score at least 900 career regular season goals. We late night on Monday night / early Tuesday morning had Maryland basketball in action. The Terrapins had a game against UNLV at MGM Grand Garden Arena in Las Vegas in the 2025 Players Era Men's Championship. The game had a start time of midnight, but this ended up being quite the game for the Terps. Maryland, in the 2025-2026 regular season, improved to 5-1 overall with a 74-67 win over UNLV. The Terps overcame a 7-point second-half deficit, and the Terps got back 2 key players, among them 6'9" Texas A&M transfer Pharrell Payne. He returned from a 1-game absence caused by an undisclosed injury that he suffered in Maryland's 89-82 win at Marquette on November 15th. Payne in that game took a nasty fall off hanging on the rim on a dunk in the second half. He essentially landed on his knees with each lower leg bent outwardly, that he ended up missing just 1 game off what happened is incredible. And Payne in this game, late night on Monday night / early Tuesday morning, was good. He, in 27 minutes as a starter, had 20 points and 8 rebounds. He went 7 for 8 from the field, all 2s, did go just 6 for 10 on free throws, and did have no assists versus 3 turnovers. Also back for the Terps was 6'3" Indiana transfer Miles Rice. He returned from a 3-game absence caused by an ankle injury. He, in 22 minutes off the bench, went 2 for 4 on 3s and 1 for 3 on 2s. He did not attempt a free throw. He finished with 8 points, 6 assists versus 2 turnovers, 3 rebounds, and 2 steals. So the Terps do remain without multiple other players due to injury. A 6'7" Texas A&M transfer Solomon Washington remains out due to an ankle injury. 6'7" Texas A&M transfer George Turkson Jr. remains out due to an undisclosed reason. And 6'5" Kansas transfer Rakis Passmore is out due to having suffered a season-ending torn Achilles tendon during the 2025 preseason, but great to have Pharrell Payne and Miles Rice back. Now, Maryland in this win over UNLV was not good offensively. The Terps went 16 for 28 on twos. That's good, but also went just 9 for 31 on threes and just 15 for 21 on free throws and committed 20 turnovers. But Maryland's defense was good. The Terps held UNLV to just 8 for 27 on threes and just 14 for 33 on twos. Next up for Maryland is a game against number 12 Gonzaga at MGM Grand Garden Arena in Las Vegas on Tuesday night at 9:30. Gonzaga beat number 8 Alabama 95-85 at MGM Grand Garden Arena in the game prior to Maryland's win over UNLV. And that'll do it for you and me for now. Keep the feedback coming. You can hit me up on X at Al Galdi. You can email me the Al Galdi podcast at yahoo.com. Wednesday's show, episode 1207, will include a lot for you on the Washington Commanders. Also on Wednesday's show, I'll talk Washington Wizards and Maryland basketball. The Wizards are home to the Atlanta Hawks Tuesday night at 7. The Terrapins have a game against number 12 Gonzaga at MGM Grand Garden Arena in Las Vegas on Tuesday night at 9:30 in the 2025 Players Era Men's Championship. Have a great rest of your Tuesday, and I'll talk to you on Wednesday.